What's some of the most common bicycle incidents or accidents or collisions that you encounter in most of your cases?
Okay, so with the development of Uber, you gotta watch out for dooring. Dooring and Uber go hand in hand. They stop anywhere and everywhere. They let a passenger out the back, and we have had so many incidents involving Uber where cyclists get injured. A second real common one that I'm always telling cyclists to look out for is, we call it the right hook. So you're riding along, everything seems tickety-boo, and all of a sudden the vehicle just in front of you makes a quick right-hander. You got nowhere to go. Sometimes you hit the car, sometimes you don't, but those are the ones where oftentimes the driver just keeps going too. So watch out for dooring zones, stay further away, always look through the car window to see if you can see somebody, and watch out. Just assume anyone who passes you is probably going to make a right-hand turn, and keep your hands in the ready.
I'd heard this statistic before in my research that dooring was the number one.
Dooring has become such a problem.
Yeah, and I think that ties in a lot too with, motorists get really annoyed sometimes with the way that cyclists ride, but we've got to keep a meter at least away from cars to prevent being doored. So
it's a catch-22. There's no question about it.
Yeah.
So if you stay furthest to the right, like the Motor Vehicle Act tells you to do, you got to stay furthest to the right, well, you're going to get doored.
Yeah.
But then if you pull into traffic too frequently, what you're doing is you're risking a bit of a rear ender. So it's a fine balance. It's definitely a fine balance.
Yeah. What steps should a cyclist take immediately following a collision with a car?
It is imperative that if you're involved in a collision with a car, you first sort of take an inventory. It's really hard. Why we started the company, the biking lure was started because so many cyclists were being struck and just doing the absolute wrong thing at the scene. They're in a state of shock. They try to get on their bike. They try to ride away.
Yeah.
They do all kinds of things that you wouldn't do if you're in a car. I don't know why. There seems to be some sort of embarrassment because you've been hit, you're down on the road. Maybe there's this discomfort that cyclists have, and there's a degree of shock because oftentimes the injuries can be concerning. But you got to take that inventory. You got to look around. You got to say, am I okay? Am I in a dangerous position? Am I going to be involved in some sort of second collision? If everything's okay and you can sort of deal with the situation, you got to document it.
Yeah.
And what document it means is you're taking the information from that driver. You are not, at any consequence, letting them leave the scene. You're taking pictures if you can. You're trying to look for names of people who witnessed it if you can. You're getting that driver's name. You're getting that driver's license plate number. You're putting down a full description of what happened, and then you're reporting it. You report it to the police. You actually do call it in. Cyclists are not protected by insurance companies. That's a fundamental difference that people don't get. If you're hit by a motorist, or if you're in a motor vehicle accident, you got one insurance company for one motorist looking after you and another for another. As a cyclist, you're sort of exposed. You've got to make sure that you get the information of the person who hit you. I cannot tell you how frequently we're trying to go backwards. We're going, our team at the Biking Lawyer is going back, trying to find video from the scene, dash cam video, anything we can get to reenact the scene. But if cyclists are able to take the right steps at that particular moment, it can make a big difference. The second thing I say, cyclists must look out for cyclists. If you see a fellow cyclist involved in a crash, do not assume that they can deal with it on their own. Stop. We are a community. We need to look out for each other. Be part of the solution, part of making sure that this is dealt with. Because too many times someone is left on their own with no coverage, drivers drive away, they deny it ever happened. It's been a real difficult situation for us in many cases.
What are some common mistakes you see cyclists make that might be preventable?
The biggest mistake that I see cyclists make is the assumption. The assumption that the other motorists or the way people are traveling is going to be predictable. So they relax a little bit too much. I think when you're riding, you should always be in a real state of readiness. You know, there's that tendency to just get into the zone. You know, you're just really focused on your cadence, you're moving along, but you're not paying as much attention as you need to be. And that's unfortunate. I hate saying that.
Yeah.
I love riding in cadence and just getting in the zone. Unfortunately, you cannot predict what a motorist is going to do. So if you don't have your hands ready to put on your brakes and to deal with the situation, it can be quite dangerous.
What are some common mistakes you see people making as a motorist when it comes to cyclist collisions?
It's always the same problem.
The same problem.
It's distracted drivers playing with their phones, playing with their radio, not using mirrors, you know. It's just the amount of people that we see that don't check mirrors. Some of the times in the dash cam footage, that's exactly what you see, or in the bike cam footage. You see like someone pulls over a car and before they look in the side view mirror, the door's coming open, you know. Before you make a right-hand turn, look in your mirror. Before you change any direction in a car, check the mirror. That's what they're for.
Yeah.
So that is our primary problem. It's just lack of attentiveness and distraction.
Would you say that it would be helpful, if at all possible, that just like cars with dash cams, cyclists should have cameras on their bikes?
No, we love it. We love it.
Yeah.
We absolutely love it. I mean, who can afford it? Not everybody. You got to be pretty organized. You got to keep it recharged. Mm-hmm. But yeah, those dash cams have been so good for us. Cool. Like so many times we've caught people fleeing the scene. Yeah. We've caught road violence. Mm-hmm. We've had numerous cases. If you go to our Instagram at The Biking Lawyer, you'll see where we have video, because people send us from all over the country, dash cam or bicycle cam video of things that have happened to them, and it's shocking. And if you got that camera, the police have to respond. The police will not respond. They'll call it a consensual situation. But if you have the video footage saying, I was doing nothing wrong, and this guy came up and swung into my lane or slammed on his brakes, suddenly that driver's going to get caught.
As a lawyer and a cyclist, what is the most important safety gear you think a cyclist could equip themselves with?
I think you got to start with the helmet, and then you got to go to visibility. Mm-hmm. The best way not to get hurt on a bike is to be conspicuous. You want to be seen. It goes for motorcycles, it goes for bicycles, it goes for anywhere where you're going to be vulnerable. You've got to be seen.
We're a huge fan of daytime running lights.
Oh yeah, I should have said that. Well, when I said high visibility, probably the one I would say would be daytime running lights. Yeah. You know why?
Why?
The minute they changed the laws for cars to have daytime running lights, it put everybody who's traveling without daytime running lights at a little bit of a risk. Because what do you do nowadays when you're driving an automobile? You're looking for lights. You're always looking for lights. And so when you're riding a bike and you got no lights, people just sort of look over you or look through you. You've probably experienced it when you're riding. Sometimes you almost have eye contact with the car. You think, oh, that guy's seen me. And suddenly they pull out. And you think to yourself, what the heck? That's probably because they're focused on these super bright halogen headlights of the car behind you and fully missed you. So yes, daytime running lights, blinking white light in the front, red light in the back, or solid white light, something really high lumen though. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, a lot of times when we mention lights, when we mention lights to people, to customers, they go, oh, I'm not riding at night. And we go, well, you know what? As far as we're concerned, most of the accidents are happening during the day. Yes. And so that's when it's most important to have daytime running lights and bright ones on your bike whenever you're riding.
I love a bright light. Whenever I see cyclists with a bright light, I say, way to go.
Yeah.
I admit though, many times I ride without it. And that's something I'd like to change. Like that's something I know I can do better. Mm-hmm. The problem is you just got to make sure you're prepared, right? You've charged your bike light. You've got everything ready to go. Yeah. Because if you leave them on the bike, they'll die.
Yeah, or get stolen.
Yeah, stolen. If you got a nice one.
Yeah.